Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. This is The Viewpoint. My name is Migwi. And now we move on and talk about emergency response to disasters. And in studio today, I'm joined by Dr. Martin Alfred Wafula, who is the CEO at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Ndugu Mike.
How are you doing?
We are doing fine.
Yes.
It's a bright morning.
Yes.
Good morning, Kenya.
Yes. Karibu sana. Now, let's talk about this issue of disaster emergency response. Now, describe your day at Mama Lucy, a normal day, away from the disaster. First of all, describe a day at Mama Lucy.
Well, one thing is, immediately I came to Nairobi City County through the, to serve the city residents through the guidance of His Excellency, the Governor of Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja. My lifestyle had to change. I sleep for 3 hours. My typical day at Mama Lucy Hospital starts at 5 in the morning, where I start by security brief to get to know what happened during the night, go through the CCTV cameras to understand how we have fared on, how is the state of the hospital, after which give a brief to my board chair, Madam Dorcas Kemunto, so that me and my board, we are at bar. And then after which, then we go into ward round to see all the patients, how they are faring in, how they have had their night, if they have gotten their medication, if they've been attended on by the doctors and the nurses at night. Then we go into our morning brief. Now to go into the details of each patient who is admitted in the hospital, on which management are they, how many critical patients do we have. After which, now I open my day to start receiving the visitors. I'll have to see visitors up to around 2 p.m., then go into afternoon brief. Again, just to find out what is happening with my patients. Have they had their lunch? How is their 4 o'clock tea? Have my staff, have they had their tea? How are they faring in? Do we have any gaps? I get brief from departments. Of course, in every day you'll have 1, 2, 3 teething problems you're able to resolve at that time. Then you go into an evening brief just to understand how are we prepared at night. Getting to know every department, because Mama Lucy Hospital sees 3,000 patients per day.
3,000?
3,000 patients per day. We deliver 70 mothers per day. We do at least 25 cesarean sections per day. Out of these 25 cesarean sections per day, 80% of them are referrals. So these are emergency cesarean sections. Being emergency, it means we have to ensure that our surgical department, our 5 operating theaters are up and running, so that then we are able to save these mothers. Apart from that, you have other surgeries that need to go on. You have the orthopedic surgeries that have to go on, minding that Mama Lucy is on the road, Kankuno Road. It is serving the entire of Eastland. It's serving even other counties. We are receiving patients from Kiambu County, we're receiving patients from Kitui, Machakos. And at the same time, we are the only disability assessment center in the city serving 5 counties. So all this has to be planned for every day. You have to know what is our stock levels, what is our stock outs. If you have a stock out, how are we going to sort it out? If we have some of our doctors or our staff who is sick, how are we getting that replacement done? So it is completely a rigorous exercise. I leave the hospital earliest at 10.
At 10. Now, let's talk about the disaster that happened last week. This is a disaster that happens almost in the middle of the night.
Yes.
It's a gas explosion. And now people are injured. There is commotion everywhere. How is this hospital prepared to handle such cases of fire, especially when it comes to fire? Because we have victims having 3rd-degree burns, others are burned beyond recognition. How do you handle such cases of emergency?
One thing that we've done as a county is through the Ministry of Health, Sector Health, which is manned by Madam Selintoi, we came up with an emergency response team. We have an emergency response center. The role of this center is to coordinate how our responses happen. This center has been trained by various partners. We have partnered with AMREF, we've partnered with Red Cross, MSF, St. John's Ambulance, to train these center staff. And then we have a county centralized referral system. In this centralized referral system, we now have a coordination between the emergency response center, the hospitals, and the fire response center. Now, this is a multidisciplinary approach in terms of how we respond to emergencies. At any given time, after I joined Nairobi City County, for the last 4 months, we've had 15 drills. So
this is
in these 15 drills, what we do is we simulate different scenarios of emergencies that can come. If it's floods, we simulate if a flood comes, how are we going to have to handle it? And this is a coordinated effort between the Department of Health sector and the Department of Boroughs. That is public administration.
Yes.
When a fire happens, how do you coordinate? So we have had all this simulation. So when this fire erupted, I remember I was in the house. I had just left the hospital 2 hours ago. Then I get I get an alert, there is a fire. So the first thing we always do is, in our central hospital management team, we have allocated someone covering. Apart from the teams that are managing at night, from the top management of the hospital, there is one person managing the hospital virtually at night as the first contact person. So on that day, the first contact person was my medical superintendent, Dr. Langat. So immediately it happened, then he is alerted. Since he stays closer, he gives me a phone call. Then the first thing I tell him, respond. In less than 10 minutes, he was at the scene. And then now he starts coordinating the teams. On that night, we had to coordinate over 12 ambulances. We had to coordinate, at that time when you are responding, there's various aspects that you're looking at. You are looking at first, the victims. How are you going to evacuate them? You're looking at the security of the staff that you are having them there. You're looking at the numbers of manpower that you need in that. Because one thing you're not sure, how many people are going to come in. At the same time, you're looking at your supplies. Being in Eastlands, you have to also be very cognizant of the security of the premise, the security of the medical staff that are attending, the securities of the clients who are coming inside the facility. So there is a lot of coordination that is happening. So at that time, we are able to bring in the OCS of Soweto, Mr. Ongoro, who came in with a contingent of police just to ensure that the people who are coming in, they are well screened, we are having complete security protocol well taken care of. So that as we are working, the safety of everybody is guaranteed.
Yes.
Of course, we also mobilize our internal security. I had to call the governor at that time, and he responded and sent me also additional security from his office. So that at that time, we have to ensure that everything, every team is coordinated 100% back to back.
Yes.
Yes.
So now talk about how hospitals deal with the distribution and management of these resources, because you said you received so many victims of the fire now. Are there cases where you have to outsource personnel and equipment or even medicine?
Now, in this country, we have a national referral system. In referral system, in terms of evacuation, there are 3 categories. There is the community level, there is the county referral, and then the national referral. So in this disaster, we had at the community level, the community health promoters that His Excellency Governor Sakaja put in were very instrumental. In Embakasi region, we have 400 community, approximately around 400 community health workers, health promoters. So their role was now to check in every home, because every community health promoter has 100 homes.
Yes.
So they have to check their 100 homes. Are there people there? That was the first referral. And these community health promoters are now linked to Embakasi Health Center and then linked to Mama Lucy. So that if they realize that one of their people within the 100 homes is missing or is has burns, they immediately raise the EOC, Emergency Response Center.
Yes.
Now the Emergency Response Center dispatches an ambulance.
Yes.
That's the first thing that they do. They dispatch the ambulance. Now the ambulance brings that victim, that patient, to Mama Lucy Hospital as a county referral hospital. That's the first level. The second level. The third level now is the national referral. So how did we manage it? When all these clients are brought in, we triage. We classify them into different degrees of burn. First degree, second degree, third degree. So the clients that are first and second degree that have superficial burns, we were able to manage. On that day, that night, between midnight and 6 p.m., we saw 169 burns. And remember, you're seeing 169 burns, additional to other emergencies that are happening. Remember, at night, you'll have so many emergencies. Yes. You have pediatric emergencies that you are managing at the pediatric wing. You have other patients who are walking in with their other ailments, because roughly, Mama Lucy Hospital at night alone sees between 500 to 700 patients at night alone.
Every day?
Every day. So apart from these 700 that you are now managing, you have 169 that have flown in. So what we did is we had now to pick doctors from their homes. And I want to thank my doctors, my nurses, my medical staff. They never asked the question. Because what we did is, now that we had mobilized security forces, we could go with the security personnel, we knock their homes, they open their doors, we bring them to the hospital. So that then we are able to serve Nairobians to the best of the best of their ability. Yes. We mobilized 15 doctors. We brought in an additional 10 nurses at night, so that we could be able now to manage this 169 new influx. Yes. So after that now, the patients that were second degree up and third degree burns are the one we referred. And I want to applaud my team that out of all the patients that were brought to Mama Lucy Hospital, we didn't lose any single life. We have attended to 220 victims of burn. None of the 220 lost their life at Mama Lucy Hospital. That tells you how robust that team is. We referred 7 of them to Kenyatta National Hospital, burns unit. Those who had burns above 60%. We referred 17 to Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital. Those who had burns between above 20, up to around 60 burns, 60% burn. Those want to be managed at. So totally, we treated and discharged 196 victims safely home.
Yes.
The 24, we referred them for further management.
So how in terms of getting personnel and going for the victims, how do you prioritize transport? Because these are 2 very important aspects that you have to deal with concurrently.
In terms of evacuation, there are evacuation protocols that we observe. And this is part and parcel of the training, the rigorous trainings that we've been having and the simulations that we do. So So on that day, what we did is immediately our fire engine, which is coordinated by Chief Bram Simiu. And at the fire engine, there is a fire training college. So the role of that fire training college is literally to train personnel on how do you fight fire, and then incorporate medical personnel. How do you coordinate firefighting personnel and the medical team in the holistic management of a disaster when it happens?
Yes.
So you have one fire engine in the middle. In front there is an ambulance. Behind there is an ambulance. The role of the first ambulance is to spot anything, any human being who has been injured, immediately picks that, turns back to the hospital.
Yes.
So when we are classifying, there are those people who are just silent.
Yes.
That's the first person you go for.
Yeah.
Because this person is either going into cardiac arrest, this person could be dead, or this person could be... So those are the first people you pick.
Yes.
There are those people who are active, they're crying, you go for them. So immediately you put, and you'll find that if we are having 15 ambulances, you end up having, now if you have the critical patient, you carry 1 or 2 in one ambulance.
Yes, let me cut you short. We go for a break for a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Viewpoint. We are talking about emergency response to disaster, and in studio we are glad to have Dr. Martin Alfred Wafula. Now, before we went on a break, we were talking about prioritizing transport between medical personnel and the victims now. If you may continue on that point.
What we have done as a county is we have transport system for the staff.
Yes.
For the staff, we use utility vehicles. There are utility vehicles that can pick them, GK utility vehicles. And then for the patients, we are using the ambulances. So that completely, that's how we draw the line. Yes.
Now, how do you evaluate the effectiveness of these now evacuation protocols now?
In this instance, I'll say we did it was a perfect evacuation. One thing that stands out is both the firefighting team and the medical team seamlessly communicated. So as the fire was, that's why I think in history of Kenya now, we will agree with me that this was a fire that was fought in the shortest time possible, with a multidisciplinary agency approach in fighting, where we have the Nairobi City County firefighting team, you have the military, Kenya Air Force fighting team, and then you have the airport team. Now you can imagine how this well-coordinated central government and county government coordinated effort. And this is what now we need for Kenya going forward. That in terms of disasters, that kind of coordinated effort between the central government and the county government, multidisciplinary agency fighting is what we need to go. When you come now to the medical, see the way Mama Lucy Hospital coordinated with the Kenyatta National Hospital and Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital seamlessly. That Kenyatta National Hospital was left to receive only critical patients, those that need high degree critical care management. Same to Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital. As Mama Lucy, we are managing these other conditions. With that kind of coordination, even concentration of care is really up to the higher degree. No wonder even when you look at the success rate in terms of how many fatalities happened. And that's the reason why you'll find that at Mama Lucy we had 0 fatalities. Comparable to other scenarios that happened. That kind of coordinated healthcare system is the kind of healthcare system that we anticipate that as Nairobi County we are championing, and that's what we anticipate that as a whole country, it is the way to go.
Yes. There are times when you hear patients have been turned away by hospitals where it goes a case of pay first, treat after. What is your policy? Is it pay first or treat after? Is it treat first, pay after?
At Mama Lucy, it is a county referral hospital. And it is our policy that any patient who comes at Mama Lucy, one thing that patient needs care. So at Mama Lucy is patient first, payment later. And that's why how we managed the 169 patients at night and the additional 42 that came in during the day, and totally seeing 220 patients effectively. Until now, at the time when now His Excellency the Governor gave us directive that now all the bills are waived. Remember, at that time at night, you are not thinking about money. You are thinking about how do we save this life? So at Mama Lucy and as a county, first thing is how do we save life? That is the call of His Excellency the Governor, Johnson Sakaja. The first thing is save life. After we have saved life, we will manage the remaining things later. We receive, further to this disaster, we receive mothers who are almost to the brink. They have been laboring for more than 72 hours. With such a kind of a mother, you will not wait asking for money. The first thing you do is fasting, ultrasound, to theater. After the mother is stable now, that's the time now you start discussing other aspect. So for us, the first thing at Mama Lucy is sort the patient first. The rest follows when the patient is now okay and is able to converse. At that time, now that's when you can have other discussions.
Let's talk about risk assessment. How do you conduct risk assessment and use the findings to inform your disaster preparedness?
One thing that we have adopted at Mama Lucy with the help of the board, when the board was first inaugurated 6 months ago, I joined 4 months later, 2 months later. The first thing they did was risk assessment. In risk assessment, you are looking at what are the potential hazards. What are the potential areas in which we are going to receive calamities? So we set a multidisciplinary team, a task force, that now identifies every single risk and then classifies that risk. So that then we put it into a risk identification matrix to know this is a medium risk, this is a higher risk, this is a short risk, a low risk. Once you've classified, you'll identify that some of these low risks are administrative. So the kind of mitigation measures you put in is administrative. A good example is when you're looking at fire. One of the risks is shortage of staff. So in terms of shortage of staff, now you come up with the administrative measures. But now you have people who are on duty and then you have people who are on standby. And in this case, it worked for us. That we had people who were on duty and then we had some staff who were on standby. So when they were overwhelmed, we quickly go in for standby staff who comes in and then sorts out the entire problem. The risk management strategy for health sector is the same risk management strategy for military and police.
Wow.
Because one thing is, you are supposed to think of the worst scenario possible. In the worst scenario possible, what can happen?
Yes.
Then start working backwards. That if this happens, how am I going to isolate these patients? Part of it is security. Security is a risk. And that we had already identified. That's why immediately it happened, we were able to coordinate with Kenya Police, our internal security, the security from the Office of the Governor. And that's the reason why we had put in CCTV at Mama Lucy Hospital. And these CCTVs are monitored 24 hours. There is some personnel we have put responsibly to monitor. And at that day, they were identifying any seamless activity that doesn't look normal. And then we immediately be able now to respond. So in risk management, there's complete framework that has been put in by the government. Our work is to adopt and then operationalize within our different areas of jurisdiction.
Yes. Talk about team dynamics, because this is even though you have done the drills for such cases, how are the team dynamics during a disaster? Case in point, the fire that happened last week.
During a disaster, one thing is there's a lot that happens within the team that you are working with. Remember, you are dealing with different people at different levels. You have the consultants there to assess higher degree wounds, and those that need surgical procedures. You have the nursing doing the nursing services. You have the lab team. You have the pharmacy team. You have the cleaners. Because as you are serving, there is blood. There are dead tissues that you are pulling out of these victims that need to be sorted. So completely you are dealing with a multidiversified team of people that need to be coordinated. The most important thing there is coordination. So there must be a leader who knows, and you know the strength of each and every person. You know clearly that if I'm dealing with Dr. Wafula handles things this way, this is his work speed. Because at that time you're looking at speed of individuals. You're working at emotional intelligence of each person. You're looking at cognitive. You're looking at interpersonal skills of each person. You're looking at communication skills of each person. So when we are classifying these teams every day in the evening, each person is given a task on the basis of what are their personality types. There are those we know who your procedures too. So this person is allocated theater. This is what is the passion of this person. So any wounds that come, this person, that is what that person enjoys doing. So in team dynamics, passion, love is very key. And then communication becomes very paramount. Because at that time you have to communicate with each other, get to know what is needed at one, who needs what at what time. Communication becomes completely paramount in that. You'll identify burnouts. In a group, there will be burnouts. You'll find you're realizing, so-and-so is getting burned out. So you have to do a lot of switch. You handle this, you deal with the with infusions. When you realize someone is now getting burned out, you move that person from a more rigorous exercise to a less rigorous exercise. You come in, so you are task shifting the members of the team that you're having, so that at least at the end of the day, you've managed burnouts.
Yes.
Mental intelligence becomes very important at that time, because remember, this person is thinking at high degree. You have a patient, you need to classify this patient, whether it is a first degree, second degree, third degree, in less than a second, because you need to make a decision whether this person is going for ICU care, intensive care, or this person I'm treating here. So mental health of that person is very key. So that's why after such a kind of scenarios, you give these people debriefing. Because you can imagine if you've handled 10 third degree burns, what it goes into your mind. So there's a lot of dynamisms that happens in this team, but the most important thing is leadership, is communication, is coordination.
Now, you've talked about burnouts as one of the challenges that may affect team dynamics. What other challenges do you face in such a scenario now where you are dealing with an emergency case, and this is a team that is working all the way to make sure everything runs smoothly? What other challenges do you face apart from burnouts?
You'll find things of logistical. You'll find things of logistical. You know, as these patients are coming in, different patients will have different patient needs. So at one point you realize that you're dealing with a patient whose needs you don't have the logistical. So quickly you're thinking of, how do I refer this patient? What is the shortest means possible of referring this patient to National Referral Center? Or you just noted that there is one item you need. A good example, sometimes you're stitching and then you just realize, I need Vicryl. So that logistical arrangement normally should be seamless and very fast. So that then at the spot you are able to sort everything. That's why now what we've done is, for lab works at Mama Lucy, to sort out this issue of logistics, we've put phlebotomy next to emergency and accident. So that if I just need this patient to be drawn blood, I have a lab tech who can just easily go in, pick blood and take to lab for HB, for instance. You just want to know what is the hemoglobin level of this patient, so that then you are thinking, do I need blood transfusion? Do I need pack cells? What do I need? In terms of you have patients who have fractures, broken bones.
Yes.
Again, we've put trauma and orthopedic center next to emergency and accident, so that when you just realize this patient has a fracture, you're not going to concentrate on the patient. Immediately you refer the patient to trauma and orthopedic center, so that the guys of bones are dealing with the bones. The guys of lab are dealing with the lab. When you note this patient needs theater, we have a theater inside the emergency and accident. You have a minor theater inside the emergency and accident. So in case you realize this one needs to be sutured immediately, you refer to theater team. So that kind of logistical arrangement normally is very critical, and you have to plan it. You have to plan it, you have to test it. So that's why we do those demos, for people to know when I assess the patient and realize this is a fracture. The first point is refer to orthopedic, the specialist. Because at that time you want to sort this patient immediately. If you realize this person has a stab wound, the first thing you're thinking of, this patient needs to be sutured. What do I do? Minor theater. And there's someone in minor theater to sort that out. And when the minor theater realizes this cannot be sorted as a minor procedure, then immediately goes up to main theater. And in main theater at Mama Lucy, we have 5 operating theaters. Yes. 2 theaters are standby for emergencies at any given time. If there's an emergency, the patient is wheeled in. Whether it's a cesarean section emergency or a general surgical emergency, the patient is wheeled in to be sorted.
Yes. Let's go back to the referral systems during a disaster. How do you ensure, or are there strategies that you follow to ensure that the patient that you have referred out is getting the right care and under the right conditions?
Under referral protocol to next level, there is a protocol we call continuity of care. At Mama Lucy, immediately we make a decision that I'm referring this patient. This patient moves to the referral coordinator. The role of the referral coordinator is to call the referral center where you are sending the patient and give the patient history and the reason why you are referring. So as the ambulance leaves the facility, if you are referring to KNH for ICU, KNH has already confirmed that there is one ICU bed ready for admission. And then you have given them what they need. You've told them this patient needs blood, this patient needs a consultant review, this patient needs this. So as by the time the patient arrives, this is already done. After that, after the scenario has gone, now we do a post-mortem. The patients that we referred, how are they doing? How were they managed there? Then that becomes learning points for all of us, both the referring facility and the receiving facility, so that we are comparing notes. Remember, the doctors that we at Mama Lucy, we are same doctors under same training with the doctors at KNH, with the difference of facilities in terms of equipment and everything. So then you will be comparing with your colleague, with your classmate, that I refer this patient, Dr. How was the patient? How have you managed? What are some of the things that you have identified? If for instance, we say this patient needed an EEG, which we are not able to do at our place. So the EEG or the cardiac echo has been done at KNH. What were the findings? So that then you are able to correlate the findings and the physical examination findings that you got out of this patient. Yes. So literally that's how we coordinate.
Yes. Now, there's also the aspect of community resources and partnerships in such cases. How do you leverage both to ensure that there is effective referral systems in terms of disasters?
One thing is that we've done as the city county, the Department of Health. I thank the governor for having thought of getting community health promoters. The 7,000, over 7,000 community health promoters. The community health promoters have phones and they have the referral form. So they become our primary community referral. That's a huge resource. You can imagine if 100 homes are being managed by one community, it means this person knows names of the 100 people and their health conditions, and these people are equipped with the basic vital equipment. They have the BP machine, they have the thermometers, they have the SpO2, and they are trained. So they are able to tell that this neighbor or this person within their area of jurisdiction is hypertensive, is diabetic. So when they are referring, already they have indicated in the form that, Mark, you the patient I'm referring to you, apart from having either burns or having a birth complication, this patient is diabetic, this patient is hypertensive. That information is very critical in planning to receive that patient.
Yes.
So that if I'm receiving a patient that is diabetic and hypertension, and this patient needs a surgical intervention, I know I will not use halothane, I'll use isoflurane. So when the patient comes, I'm not going to do an RBS. I literally know that I have, as the patient is coming for surgical intervention, what I need is isoflurane as my anesthetic intervention for this patient. They tell you whether the patient, what is the age of the patient, the gender of the patient. So as you are preparing, as the patient is coming, you already know what do you need. And that's what saved us in this fire strategy. Because like now you can imagine, out of 169 patients that were brought in, 111 were men. You see? And then you're dealing with, you have 111 men, you have children, you have mothers. So in that dynamism, the referral system that you've put in place through the community health promoters sorts us out.
Yes.
Because now you know I'm dealing with the large number of people being referred are men.
Yes.
So which kind of needs of men should I put in place? Because you see, imagine if you are doing catheters. There are catheters for men, there are catheters for women.
Yes.
So if I'm receiving a higher number of men, then I literally know that in terms of my medical equipment and commodities, this is what should be availed at that time.
Yes.
Apart from that, there is other synergies. Like on that day, we were really pleased with the synergy that we got from the politician. That moral support from the area MP, from the senator, from the women rep was really overwhelming.
Yes.
Because now you see, you are managing patients,
Yes.
you've discharged them, you don't know where these people are going. I've cleared with you medical and said, now you are good, you are free to go home.
Yes.
But now where is this person going?
Yes. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. We take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Viewpoint, and the conversation is around emergency response to disaster. And before we went for a break, Doctor, we were talking about leveraging community resources and partnerships. Please continue on that point. In this disaster of Embakasi gas fire, the community, one of the resources that you have is the community health promoters. Yes.
Apart from that, you have the public administration unit that is now coordinated with the boroughs, as for now Nairobi City County. So you have the chiefs, the assistant chiefs, you have the sub-county administrators. They become very key because these are the people who know the entire corners of the sub-county.
Yes.
As they also coordinate with the ward administrators. So at that time, they become very valuable because they know the location, they know the people they are dealing with, they know where you can go, how do you, even when you are moving the fire engines, they're the one that knows the roads. So they will give you the map on the shortest route from Kangundo Road, where the fire engine is placed. How do you reach Embakasi? So they give you all that. So that becomes very important. Apart from that, you know, there is the philanthropist community. Like on that day, we needed mattress. You need some blankets. You've treated these people. How are you going to rehabilitate them? Because you literally need to rehabilitate them. Remember, you're dealing with someone who already has lost hope.
Yes.
So you need so many people to come in, counsel. You need the church leaders. You need the pastors, the bishops to come and pray with them, to come and give them hope. So those are very valuable community resources. At the same time, you need food. And that's when I really thank the partners that came in. They brought in sugar, they brought in bread, soda, milk, so that then these people have a meal. And the county came in also in a big way through Dish in a County. Dish in a County at that time was really very valuable. This is a program that we have been using to feed school-going children. But now at that time, it became very valuable through our Dish in a County kitchen. So that then these people are being given hot meal prepared by our kitchens in Dish in a County. That becomes a very important resource. At the same time, you know, when people come in, you don't know who is doing what, who is doing what. In that crowd, there are criminal elements. So you need the police forces, you need the Nyumba Kumi, because they know, they identify. When they're coming to Mama Lucy, we have our Nyumba Kumi community around there that know who you know Fulani, this is what this person is capable of doing. That becomes a very valuable resource.
Yes.
Vehicles. You will not have enough vehicles. There are some people who will be carried in public means. Others will be carried in private means. So that is a resource, that is a complete resource that you will have to tap into the community. Even that volunteerism of the community to give information. That so-and-so was staying alone, and we have not seen that person. How can we trace? And that's the reason why, after we had sorted the 169, in the following day morning at around 8, Honorable Babuino came in with another number of people that we had to manage them the morning hours. Remember, when in such a mass fire, people run helter-skelter. People run to directions they don't know. And this person is injured. So you will pick a good percentage of them, but there's a remnant that you will not have picked. So the following day, when night comes, then the person wakes up and starts asking himself or herself, where am I? Look at the scenario of children. In a state of such fire, children will be also running. The parents are running, the children are running. So in the morning, you need people now to know, in the house of so-and-so, there were 2 children. Where are they? So that coordinated effort from neighbors and the neighborhood is really a big resource that you need to harness during this disaster. And just to note, we treated 38 children during this fire tragedy.
So how do you handle such cases where now you are dealing with children who are victims?
Children have a special way of management. Remember, depending on the ages, we managed up to the age of even 1 year child. 1 year child doesn't talk. And now you have to get the problem. The mother is not there to explain. It is now the role of the doctor to find methods of communicating with someone who is not communicating. Now for Mama Lucy it was easier because now our pediatric outpatient was operating. So in that case, you just refer the baby to the pediatric OPD. Pediatricians have been trained on how do you communicate with the children. So that's how we manage them. And the needs for the children are completely different from the needs for adults. Children will need ventilation. If their breathing system, remember when the child inhales smoke, it affects the child more than it could affect an adult. So you need to give ventilation services. Likely, we had put some 4 ventilators at the emergency and accident. Now, these are some of the things you do out of extraordinary efforts and consolidated discussions with the medical department to put into place. But now when such a disaster happens, that's the time you realize it was right to have put that. That's why we didn't lose any of them. Because if the person needed oxygen, already we have oxygen at the emergency and accident, piped. If the baby needed to be on a ventilator, there is a ventilator there that baby can be put in. We've put in enough monitors. If the baby needs to be on a patient monitor, you have a monitor that you are able now to monitor the vitals, the way the baby's internal organs are functioning. So that now you are able to give an intervention on the basis of evidence that you are observing. And that's how we minimize risks at most, and then delivered during this disaster. And just to note, after this disaster, we have received so many invitations. Yesterday alone, I received 7 invitations. People just want to understand how come. As we speak now, we have teams from Nairobi, from Nakuru County, at Mama Lucy, learning how did we manage this. We are getting now medical schools. We've gotten from Technical University of Kenya. We've gotten from JKUAT. Now the medical students, they want to understand what dynamisms, how did you manage this? It becomes a very centralized area, and that is the Kenya that we want to build. That after you have had such and run it very effectively, lessons drawn from it, can it now benefit the next generation?
Yes.
That's the most important thing.
Yes.
That's why today in the morning when I heard about Soweto, no sooner did I heard about Soweto than my teams on the ground were ready to receive any victim that could have come. But we thank God, everything was managed quite fast, swiftly, and we didn't have anybody who was injured in the Soweto slum fire today morning. That tells you how prepared now, consciously, we are. Because now you prepare people psychologically that at any given time, as long as you're working for Mama Lucy Hospital in Nairobi City County, anything worse can happen at any given time. How do you swing to action?
Let's talk about rehabilitation of victims after treatment. Now, is there a way that you do assessment, and are there factors to consider if at all you have this goal of rehabilitating patients, especially after such a disaster?
No, for rehabilitation and integration of victims post-disaster, we do different levels. There's rehabilitation medically. There are these patients who need dressing. Remember, burns wound heals in not less than 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Not less than 6 weeks. So this victim needs to be dressed. Now the beauty about it is, the community health promoters have been trained on how to do wound dressing home-based. The best way of integrating this person is managing this wound at home. Now who will do that? The community health promoter. When the community health promoter realizes that the wound is beyond her or his management, then refers to the next point of care, which is a health center. And that health center, in Nairobi, we have over 150 health centers and dispensaries, level 2, 3, 4. So this patient will be taken to the next point of care. There is medication rehabilitation. There are those patients who need to be on antibiotics. They are on burns creams that need to be applied on those wounds. There are those who will have fractures. You know, you have to rehabilitate them. This person has a broken limb. This person was walking the way we are walking. We walked here today morning. Now this person realized that my leg is broken. Now I can't walk.
Yeah.
So we have to put this person on POP. This person has to come on orthopedic clinics. If the person has some medical issues on the backs, you need to put them physiotherapy. They will be coming for some sessions for physiotherapy at Mama Lucy. That those who need occupational therapy, they must be coming for occupational therapy. So those are some of the rehabilitation that you have to integrate these people to. You need to give these people psychosocial rehabilitation. Remember, this person has lost hope. This person doesn't have a house, the house is burned. This person doesn't know whether the child is going to school.
They have lost everything.
They have lost everything. So in that, there's a lot of psychosocial and trauma. So what we've done is we just increased our counseling and mental health department. Thanks to Aga Khan University, who we are partnering with through Professor Tuori. At least he has given us an extension of some mental health specialists. So that when these people are coming to Mama Lucy, they're able to be counseled. They're able to be told this is not the end of life. So that is happening. Because now this person, you have to counsel this person to come in terms that, yes, I lost my property. Yes, I've lost my business. But at least I have life.
Yes.
So I have a day to fight on. And I'm very happy when His Excellency the Governor arrived yesterday. The first thing he did is to visit this victim. That was a really big gesture. And we could see the hope in the eyes of the victims when they saw their governor. And they, someone will say, yes, Governor, I know I've lost, but I know there is tomorrow. I have to fight on. That is the kind of encouragement that has to happen. That leaders comes in and they're able to talk to the people. Sometimes you'll just die, not because of the situation, but because you just lack someone to talk to. For those ones who have other chronic conditions, now we incorporate them into support groups. So that then they have someone to share with, and they're sharing with someone who has a similar condition.
Yes.
So they get to understand, if so-and-so is in this similar condition and is doing well, then therefore I can also do well. So those are the kind of the integrations that you do. And then, of course, whatever now the county government, the central government has done in terms of ensuring that they get their rents paid, give them some mattresses, how to start life. All that is integration into the community.
It's good you have mentioned about mental health. Now, when it comes to such disasters, the medical staff, they are the ones who handle these cases. But also, as a human being, in one way or the other, they are affected.
Yes.
Are there ways that you debrief these people?
Mental health is a real challenge. Not only to the patient that you are managing, but to yourself as the service provider.
Yeah.
It's completely real. Right now, we are doing a research in collaboration with Aga Khan University on post-trauma distress for health workers. And out of the findings, once we have finished this research, we will be able now to come with quite many other interventions. But for now, one of the interventions that we've done is at the facility, we have a staff clinic. The role of the staff clinic, there is a counselor there, there is a psychiatrist. The role is to talk to the staff. Once you've gone through such a kind of a traumatic area, then you go in and you are counseled.
Yes.
If you realize that then that service is you are not able to get it, what you've done is for Nairobi City County, all our staff for Nairobi City County are under medical insurance. So then, for the privacy, some people will say, I know Dr. Wafula, he knows me, we work with him. So if I'm going to debrief with him, atakuwa ananionaje. So what you do, because there is a medical insurance for all the staff, with Jubilee Insurance and with the NHIF. So you are able to refer this person to a professional counselor, private professional counselor, so that then this person is taken through until the person now comes in terms.
Yes.
So all those structures have been put in place.
Yes.
Yes.
As we come to a close of the show, I want you to talk about why it is important for every hospital to have a robust emergency response team.
Thank you, Mike, for this. It has come time in Kenya and in Africa that we come up with a resilient healthcare system.
Yes.
We have now run away from sustainability. A resilient healthcare system is a system that at any given time, you are able to manage any given situation whatsoever seamlessly.
Yes.
So it is my urge that every facility, within private and public, should have their own homegrown emergency response plan. And that's the reason why when you check from the checklist by the Kenya Medical Practitioner and Dentist Board, there is a complete regulation on emergency preparedness.
Yes.
As we prepare for emergencies, we reduce burden of care and strain of care when an emergency erupts. Yes. We have to prepare as practitioners, we have to prepare our teams. And this is not a role of a department. It is a role of a top management of organizations. Yes. So we call upon the hospital administrators, hospital owners, the CEOs, the chief operations officers, that within your plans, an emergency response plan should be one of the key priority plans that you have that enables you, even you as a person, when you go home, you really have even sleep. because you know already I have a plan.
Yes.
My people are trained on a plan.
Yes.
They know how to swing to action, when and how.
Yes.
So that basically we should be able to save life at any given time. And I think, Mike, that is our call as a medical fraternity,
Yes.
as health workers and health facilities.
Yes. Thank you so much for making time for us today. And it's a continue saving lives. We have been talking to Dr. Martin Alfred Wafula, who is the CEO of Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital. And this is where we wrap up Matters Good Morning Kenya. This has been Viewpoint. My name is Mike Migwi. Do join us tomorrow morning for another session or for another program of Good Morning Kenya right here on KBC Channel 1. Remember, you can talk to us on all our social media platforms. We are at KBC Channel 1 on all our social media platforms. Good morning.